Hey creatives, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nila and I make videos about bullet journaling and creativity. Today we are going to be setting up my bullet journal for January 2023. I almost can't believe it's almost the new year. Like, this is so crazy. I already talked about that, but where the heck is the time? And honestly, I'm at the moment not so much in the mindset for the new year. I just uploaded this video about reflection and goal setting, but I'm not in the mood yet to feel ready for that. At the moment, things are quite stressful. I have a lot to take off before the holidays, before New Year, and a lot is going on personally, and then you might not feel so much for next month and setting up my bullet journal and stuff. But however, whenever I sit down to bullet journal, get a bit creative in my journal, I feel better instantly, and this is just my little self-care time where I can switch off my brain, where I can just be creative, express myself through some sort of art. Yeah, this sometimes really therapeutic and kind of like a little meditation for myself. And yeah, if you ever wonder why people take so much time and effort to set up a bullet journal, because that's obviously a lot of work and time that goes into that, but yeah, I guess a lot of people see that as self-care, and it is a really nice thing to calm down and relax a bit. And I decided to go for ginkgo theme in January. I had this idea a while ago and I was actually inspired by no one else than myself. Because if you've seen other videos where I bullet journal, you might have seen my little ginkgo tattoo here. Yeah, you can see it. And I thought that I might want to do some themes that are based off my tattoos, because they obviously mean something to me. I obviously like them. Yeah, this is what I decided to do, and in between in between planning and actually doing it, I thought I wasn't excited about it anymore, but I actually really enjoy how it turned out, and it was a bit more on the time-consuming side, even though it is quite a simple theme in my opinion. But we talk about how you can simplify it, how you can make it easier to achieve in a bit, and I would say I stop talking here because you all want to see the actual setup. And yeah, if you plan with me, that will make me very happy. If you're here to chill and just have a good time, grab yourself some snacks, a cozy drink, you know how it goes. And without further ado, let's jump into the setup. Hello again. We're starting this month with a quote page, which is a bit different than what I usually do. Usually this page on the left side will be my reflection page on the last month, but since I'm going to do my December reflection in my recent journal, I started using the first page in January as a quote page. And the quote that I chose is a good old Harry Potter quote. "It is our choices that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities," said by the one and only Albus Dumbledore. And I believe that this quote sets the tone for the new year pretty well for me, since I'm probably gonna have to make some new choices and changes. And yeah, I believe that remembering that my choices are more important than what I think I'm able to do could be helpful for that. As I already said, for January I decided to create a ginkgo theme. And I wanted to keep it simple, even though this might look actually a bit more complicated. But what I actually and really did was just taping off squares where I would paint with my gouache paints, as you can see here on the right side. And I mixed like a really nice dark bluish greenish background with a lot of black mixed into it. And on top of that, I will be adding the ginkgos with a white gel pen. And I actually had to experiment a bit to find the best option to do that. And also for bigger sections like the letter or the number on the following pages, you will see that in a bit, I painted these with my gouache painting in white as well, so it is a bit more visible. And yeah, on these backgrounds I will add the ginkgos. And my idea was to mix up the drawings a little bit, so I would add the white ginkgos on the dark background, but also would make them overlap on the white background and continue to draw that with a black fine liner. I guess that way it will make more sense in a minute when you see me actually do that. And for the quote page, I decided to not make things too complicated with the background thing. I just outlined it with a very thin fine liner and drew a few ginkgos. Later I also decided that I paint a few of those leaves instead of just making them all lined. And yeah, this is what we are working with. And as always, I will try to link everything in the info box and try to describe it a bit better than I am able to do at the moment, so that you have a bit more of a guideline. So yeah, in general, I think the theme was kind of simple, but what was more time consuming was the lettering and the fonts that I actually did. Because I wanted to try something new for myself in this month and go for like a special serif font, which is like this type font with the little... I can't describe it right now, but you can see the font I created. And I actually found this font on Pinterest, which is definitely a great place to find very nice fonts that are a bit different than the ones you use on your computer, for example. And so the font that I used for this is called Grange, and I'll link it in the description as well. I found like a nice picture where all the letters were written out so I could copy them. And what I really loved about the font is that the letters have like these swirls, which are very fine and delicate, and I especially love how the J turns out on the cover pages. It just looks so amazing to me, and I really think it added a lot to the theme. And as you also can see, I added a few dots here and there because, as I said, this theme was inspired by my tattoo actually, and it has these two little dots, and I think they are just so tiny and little, but they just complete the look for me. And yeah, as you can see, in the end I decided to add a bit more color to the ginkgo leaves, and I think that really made it perfect to me, even though it is probably not perfect. I made a few mistakes, but that's alright, you know. So flipping over to my calendar spreads, that is where I actually lost some footage, unfortunately. And the only thing that you really missed is me painting the areas that I taped off before filming and creating the boxes on the right side and the headers for that, and maybe one or two ginkgo leaves. Yeah, taping off all these areas definitely was a challenge for my patience, even though it really paid off. I love how nice and crisp every edge is, but yeah, I probably wouldn't do that too many times in the future. And if you want to do something like that, I would definitely recommend trying out some washi tape before on a separate piece of paper to see if it actually removes nice and easily. Since I'm using a B5 journal in 2023, I was able to actually fit a few more things on my monthly calendar spread than I would be able to fit on a normal A5 page. And so in addition to my usual calendar and the goals and tasks sections, I added some extra space for some intentions, monthly favorites, upcoming goals, and YouTube statistics, which would take me an extra page in my last journal, and I really love that I have this all on one page now. And I think the rest, what I'm doing here, is pretty self-explanatory, and yeah, so I'm just gonna let you watch this. But I also wanted to give you some ideas how you could simplify the setup in terms of effort. So instead of painting backgrounds with gouache, for example, you could easily use some markers, for example, some Tombow markers. And maybe you would have to change the pen you use on that. Maybe an acrylic marker would work better on top of that. I think that drawing ginkgo leaves is actually pretty easy. The outside form is just pretty simple to achieve, a bit like a triangle, and then you just make a little up and down on the top and fill that in with some lines. But if you don't want to do that, you could just try and find some ginkgo stamps or stickers, for example. And of course you can switch out the intense lettering for something less time consuming, maybe just a cursive handwriting. Or if you want, you can just print out some nice lettering quotes or whatever, glue them in, or use some stamps and stencils if you have something like that. I also wanted to give you like a reference so you know how long this setup actually took me. I kind of did not stop the time, but I think I spent about an hour or maybe a bit more for planning and sketching everything out, and probably about the same time for the actual setup. Also, waiting for paint to dry took a bit of time. Yeah, so it was a bit of an effort because all the lettering took so long, but yeah, I think I said that before, but to me this is just some sort of self-care time. I like to take the time to be creative, what I usually don't do as much as I would like to, and yeah, it's just a time that I really enjoy and is really good for myself. So for me that's worth taking the time, but I understand that this is definitely a bit of a challenge. So back to the setup. My layout for my reflection and tracking page changed a bit due to the new B5 format. I still have my mood tracker on at the top, but I decided to try a bit of a different layout for my habit trackers in January, and I decided to go for these mini calendars. I'm not sure by now if I will actually enjoy that, because whenever I tried that in the past, I didn't like it too much, but we will just see. What I also decided to change this month is using colors for my mood, energy, stress and sleep graphs in this month, because I realized that whenever I use the dots and different lines, that would just make everything a bit chaotic. And then on the right side we have my typical reflection page where I write down 1 line a day, pretty self-explanatory. And after that I added some more ginkgos to the page for decoration. And in case you're wondering what the story behind my tattoo is, it's pretty simple. I just really like the motif. It was like a wanna do motif from my tattoo artist who also did my fish tattoo. And I decided for it without thinking about it too much. And I guess if you don't have any tattoos and think about getting one, I would probably not recommend choosing your tattoo like that in the first place. Even though I have quite a few tattoos only for the aesthetic reasons now, and I can say I love them just as much as the ones that have some meanings to them. But even without thinking too much for the meaning of the ginkgo leaf, I looked up what it means, and I think it's actually pretty beautiful. So what does the ginkgo leaf stand for? According to the internet, and honestly, what other resource do you need for doing a tattoo meaning research? The ginkgo has always been a symbol of hope, friendship, adaptability, even invincibility. It is considered a mediator between past and present, Orient and Occident, spirit and nature. I think this is a nice touch to finish this video. I hope you enjoyed watching and could get some inspiration and new ideas from it. Yeah, I guess let me know how you're starting into the new year, if you already set up for January, and maybe what your hopes are for the new year. And as always, thank you so much for watching and sticking around. And if you like what I'm doing here, you could consider subscribing, liking and sharing my videos. That really helps me out and supports my work. Have a great creative time and see you in my next video. Bye!